So you've ditched your gimbal because it is actually too stable, and you don't like shooting handheld because it is too shaky. Well, if you haven't tried a shoulder rig just yet, then I would strongly urge you to give it a go. So shoulder rigs do have a higher level of stabilization than pure handheld, and this is because they have up to 4 points of contact, and those 4 points being both your hands, obviously your shoulder, and your cheek as well when it is pressed up to the side of the camera. But obviously a shoulder rig provides less stabilization than a gimbal, which is why I think that a shoulder rig falls into that perfect middle ground of stabilization, because there is a natural amount of shake and motion blur whilst being at the eye level of the operator, which provides a really natural feeling image for an audience. So in today's video, I will be going through a couple of key components for a good shoulder rig and how to construct your own shoulder rig. So I'll be doing this with the Blackmagic 6K Pro. But this doesn't mean that you can't use any other camera to construct your own shoulder rig. If you did want to use, for example, an Arri Alexa, you would just have to make a few adjustments to how you build it. So starting with the obvious, we have our camera and our lens here, but underneath that we have our base plate, which is the basis for everything that attaches to our shoulder rig. Now this has two holes here, and these are for two 15mm rods, which tighten via these little screws here. Now this is attached to the camera via two screws underneath, and you also have some holes here for additional screws like mounting tripod plates and such. So moving on, we have our 15mm rods. Obviously they make amazing drumsticks, but aside from that, they go into the bottom of our camera plate here. Okay, and there we go, our rods have been attached to our base plate. Now if you do have a longer camera, like the Ursa Mini for example, which is what I used to have, you will need longer rods to fit everything on. So these are 45cm rods. Currently on the base plate we have 30cm rods, so just check which size rods you need for your camera. And coming up next we have our shoulder pad. So this is a small rig shoulder pad. It is very small and lightweight, but also very comfortable, and it attaches via the same 15mm rods, and it goes at the back of the camera just like this. And there we go, our shoulder pad is on. So at the back I've left a little bit of room here, and that is for another accessory coming up soon. And next up is our follow focus, which I'm putting on now because I'm going to have to put on the handles shortly, which if I didn't put this on now would mean I would then have to take the handles off. So this is a small rig follow focus which has gearing on the bottom for our Samyang Cine lens here. Obviously there are hard stops as well, and it attaches by 15mm rod. So let's get this on. And there is our follow focus, nice and attached. So I have put this on the left side because I prefer adjusting focus with my left hand. If you are a right hand focus puller, obviously just swap it onto the right side of the camera. So next up are our rosette handles. So these are some nice leather gripped handles which are nice and comfy for holding the camera all day long. Obviously they're attached via 15mm rods, and you can adjust them quite a lot because you have two axes here, so you can have them either close to you, a little bit out in front of you, or somewhere in between. So let's get these onto the camera now. And they tighten up via these little screws at the bottom here. So that is our handles on. Obviously you can see why I put the follow focus on now. And there we go, it helps our camera to sit nice and upright like that as well. So before we go any further with the build, I am going to attach the battery to the rear of the camera. So we've got a V-mount battery here, a V-mount battery plate, and then there is a 15mm rod holder attached to the plate as well. And there we go, our battery is nice and secured to the back of the camera. Obviously you can still tilt the screen to adjust any settings here, and obviously the battery adds a nice little counterweight at the back of your shoulder as well. And next up, I like to attach a top handle to the shoulder rig setup. This means it is a lot easier to take it on and off of your shoulder like this, and you can also carry it down by your side nice and easily in between takes. And furthermore, you can attach an EasyRig clip to this handle if you wanted to operate with an EasyRig to take some load off of your back and your arms. You can do so with this top handle. So the top handle just screws in like this. Obviously this is where you will need an Allen key for the bolts, and obviously it does help having a cage in this situation to attach it to, and obviously cages are great as they give you loads of different mounting points. So now we have the real money maker for a rig like this, and that is a matte box. This is the SmallRig lightweight carbon fiber matte box, and if you rock up to set with any kind of matte box, everyone knows you're a true professional. So I do like to use matte boxes as you can attach flags to the top of them to exclude any unwanted light or flares. And also this one, for example, has 2 filter trays inside for larger filters. So now we need to attach our matte box to our camera, and I'm going to do this with a step-up ring. This is a 77mm step-up ring for this Samyang lens. Please do check what size step-up rings you need, otherwise it might not fit for your camera. And then our matte box just clips on the front like this and tightens down with a screw. So obviously make sure your matte box is also nice and level to everything else on your camera. So obviously you won't be able to see what you're recording with a rig like this. If your ear is back to the camera around here, you won't be able to see the screen easily, which is why I like to put a monitor on the front just so I can easily see what I'm recording. So this is the Portkeys PT5 Mark II with a SmallRig arm on the bottom of it, and I'm just going to screw it into the rosette arm at the front here. So I've just screwed that in now, and obviously we need to make sure we can see what we're recording. So I know that my monitor sits best there for where I hold the camera, and there you go, you're pretty much done. So obviously the last thing we need to do is attach the cables, for example the HDMI to HDMI, and then the power cable for the V-Lock battery to the camera, and then you're pretty much done. So that concludes our shoulder rig build. So this is a nice and lightweight rig. Obviously I can see the monitor perfectly here. I can adjust the settings nice and easily if I need to as well. Taking it on and off the shoulder is a breeze because we have the top handle here like that. And obviously we can adjust the focus nice and easily from this point here. And also adjusting the aperture is simple as well. Now, obviously this is a very modular rig. You can add and subtract whatever you want from it as well. You could put on a wireless focus motor here. You could put on a top mic or even a top light. And obviously we've talked about the tripod plates you can put on the bottom in case you need a rest or if you want to shoot something on sticks. So that's basically it for our shoulder rig build. So this is a very agile rig. I feel like I've got everything I need right on my shoulder. I don't have to add and subtract bits. Everything is basically there. And I do also feel very safe when operating this. Obviously they can get quite heavy, which is why you would need an easy rig. But without an easy rig, you've got a lot of points of contact at all time. And obviously it is very easy to take on and off your shoulder. And obviously the footage that you can get from it does feel very natural, as it is basically the camera operator's point of view of a shot. And furthermore, lens changes and things like that are very simple on a rig like this, unlike a gimbal where you would have to rebalance after a lens change. This is basically matte box off and lens off, obviously reattach the follow focus and you're good to go. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you have any questions about this shoulder rig in particular, please let me know in the comment section down below, or any other shoulder rigs for that matter. Also please consider liking and subscribing as it helps the channel out a whole lot, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video.